Media. Your voice, your heart, your opportunity. Welcome to this evening's show.
Well, we're back. Hey, it's Community Heart with Julio, Kelly and Mark. We've got a special guest, Robyn, tonight. I'm going to get Kelly. Good afternoon. Good evening, Kelly. How are you going? It's 98.9.
I'm good, thanks, Mark.
Heart dating show, and great to have you here tonight, Kelly.
Thank you. Thanks. Good to see you, Julio. Good to see you, Mark. And this is Robyn. Robyn, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you. Thanks, Kelly. Good to
So
be
Robyn
here.
is joining us from Sydney. And introduce yourself, Robyn. Like, tell me a bit about yourself. Dating coach, counsellor, relationship extraordinaire.
Yes.
What do you do? Talk to me.
Okay. So my background is in counselling, and I have a dating agency that's in Melbourne and Sydney. All my clients are professionals, genuinely looking for a long-term connection. And I get to know everyone, I meet everyone, and I put them together.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Kelly, that sounds pretty easy, doesn't it?
Like
Eh?
recruitment. It is easy.
You run a recruitment agency,
Yes.
Well, it's going to be a big exciting night tonight. I can already see Kelly up and about and really excited because she didn't realise it was that easy. And
Yes.
I don't know what you're thinking, but
That sounds, yes.
It's very simple. We make it difficult, Mark.
well, can you just give us a bit of backstory? I mean, is this because of your own personal experience? You had such an incredible romance and you got dated really quickly, found the right man, got the recipe right. Is that what happened? Or
I did get the recipe right finally after 50 years.
50 years? Oh,
50 years. I'm about to be married at 50.
Oh, wow.
It took me a long time.
You better tell us a bit about your journey, Robyn, to how you've come here tonight.
Okay. So I've always had an interest in psychology and people, and I have a passion for people. And I love bringing people together. I've been doing this for 15 years. And I think my passion really is to help people find the right person, bring love into their life and happiness. I did have a lot of struggle to find my perfect person. So I understand how it feels when we have a lot of failures, or how difficult it is to find the right person in your life to spend the rest of your life with. And I used that experience. I was a sole parent for many years, so I understand all the, the heartache, and there isn't a lot of time, all the fears involved. And so I made it my life mission to help everyone that I can.
And that was when you turned 50, found your man of your dreams, and then you decided to say, okay, I'm going to give this to others.
That's right. No, I've been giving it to others for 15 years. But I gave it to myself.
Well, I tell you what, it's going to be great, Kelly, unpacking all this tonight, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And like Robyn and Julia and I were saying earlier, we're speaking about the context of now and Zoom,
Yes. Yes.
And Robyn was saying she was trying to do these Zoom sessions 5 years ago, and who knew now things with Zoom and relationships and meeting with people and everyday life would be so imperative. So, yeah, I'm so curious to know, Robyn, what made you suddenly decide I'm going to be a dating or relationship coach? Like, how did you go about it?
Well, I, as I said, I have a counselling background, and I found that I found it really difficult, and I wanted to do something fun. So I wanted to do the opposite. So I fell into this. I just fell into it, and I started working in the industry, and then I bought Blue Label Live. That's how I fell into it.
Yeah, well, fantastic. Well, look, we know we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're all in lockdown. There's a lot of isolated, lonely people out there. And, I mean, look, having a dating agency, how's the market gone? Like before the pandemic, it was sort of just ticking over. But since the pandemic, has it gone out of control, or has
Yes.
it gone up or down?
Up. I'm flat out, Mark, especially in Melbourne. Everyone's reaching out. Everyone's just had enough of lockdown, and everyone wants to meet new people. Everyone wants connection. And I think a lot of people have used this as a grounding time in their lives, and they've realised how important connection is. So I've been flat out.
All right. Well, I think I want you to give us the 5 tips of finding your life partner. I reckon we should get 5 tips of finding. I'll give you a few minutes to have a think about what you think. Julio, we'll get 5 tips and we'll write them down.
Tips.
5 tips of finding your life partner, the one and only in the middle of the pandemic.
Yep.
What do you think about that, Julio?
That sounds pretty good. I was hoping less than 5, but 5. We'll stick to 5. That'd be good.
Who are your common clientele at the moment, Robyn, or what have you seen change? Like, particularly over the last few years, have you seen and noticed, like you said, you found your one when you were 50, and, things like the internet have changed, and I've spoken to, people like my parents a lot, or friends who I've got when, I'm in my 30s compared to your 50s, compared to your 60s, compared to, even early 20s. And just things have changed so much. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think probably 50% of my clients have tried online and just found it a really horrible experience and just haven't found the right person. And they come to me for the filtering. So I do a lot of filtering and screening for everyone. So it's introducing you to people who have similar values, because our values are the most important thing, similar lifestyle and priorities and goals. And then it's just a matter of getting the right attraction and the right connection. So you're already meeting someone who is a really good match for you.
Kelly, this must be interesting you. So the online is harder than what Robyn's talking about, Kel.
And our photos are recent, right? Everything's recent here.
So, Kel, what do you think? What's your insights here? Online, or, what you're talking about, Robyn, is you're a face-to-face connector rather than an online connector. Kelly, what do you think about the difference between those two? Not that you've tried both of them, Kel. I'm not saying you have, but,
no comment. Well, and that was my question to you, and I know people watching tonight and listening tonight actually had that question. How do you tell that difference between meeting someone per se online compared to face-to-face? Because they said to me, Cal, it's like screening. Say if you're screening for a job and you're putting through an application, you have to use keywords and key selection criteria and everything. How do you gauge, and you probably have this question a lot with your clients, and whether it be with men and women, I'll ask you about that in a minute, but do they find, how do you gauge a sense of, is that someone I want to meet? Is that someone that is genuine? And everything online is very different than face-to-face context, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think the hardest part, so to do your own filtering, which is what you need to do online, you can close a lot of doors. So I always say the first tip to finding love is to get rid of all your conditions. So it's getting rid of all your criteria, your conditions, your list. It's getting rid of all that and being open to being surprised. Because normally, if you think about it, if you think of someone that you fall in love with, they're normally not someone that you would have thought that you would fall in love with. So it's really more about the connection than the list and the conditions. So when you're filtering online, it's difficult because also your emotions are involved. So you can use your past experiences to prevent you from meeting someone, or I've had people say that's the same name as my ex, so I don't want to meet that person. So you tend to close a lot of doors for reasons that don't really matter.
And have you noticed a lot of difference between that filtering online compared to face-to-face?
the main difference, I think, online is you have a list because you have to do it yourself. So you can also get very confused because of the numbers online. So numbers is all about quantity. So if you wanted to buy a pair of jeans, right, you go into a shop and you're in the shop, you're in the change room, it's really small, the lights are really bright, the salesperson's throwing jeans at you, you've got jeans on the floor, you've got jeans over the doors, you've got 50 pairs of jeans, you get all hot, you get all sweaty, you get confused and frustrated, and you'll walk out with nothing. Whereas if she said to you, Kelly, I've measured you and these jeans are perfect for your shape and your size, you're going to buy those jeans. So all the choice creates inertia, nothing actually happens, and that's what happens online. A lot of the choice creates it's very surface and nothing actually happens, very hard to get the right connection.
Well, it looks like we've got tip number 1 here. And tip number 1, Julio, what's the tip again? Get rid of the list.
Not this list.
Not this list, but get rid of the list. I tell you what, that's fantastic, eh? And so, Robyn, you'd really say, Robyn, you're a dating coach then. So it's so important to have a coach, is it?
Yes. It's absolutely important, Mark.
Absolutely important to have a coach. All right.
Did you have a coach?
Well, Julio, what do you think about having a coach, mate? And we're not saying you're all looking for a date, Julio, but if you were, do you think a coach would help you out, mate?
I reckon it would. I think in all parts of life you need someone that'll give you that
That's
right
right.
encouragement or has that techniques that you need. So I think that's a really good way of moving forward always, not to go by your own head, but go by someone encouraging you in a positive way. So yeah,
Kelly, would you sign up a coach, Kel? I mean, not that you're looking or anything like that, but if you were, would you be getting a coach?
Yeah, I think it's always good. I mean, I'm pretty open-minded anyway, but I think, I mean, I've spoken a lot about this with friends, and one today in Mornington exploring, the beautiful beach, and the conversation always comes up about relationships, and we're always wondering, always curious of the questions about what should we do. And I think having a coach like yourself, Robyn, with those insights, you're obviously seeing men and women, all different ages, all different cultural groups, all different socioeconomic, from here, there and everywhere. And so you can see from a bigger picture than what we are seeing. Like I wouldn't have known to get rid of my list. I would have gone, right, I'm only looking for men of this age group and this age group, and maybe that's a lesson I need to take away tonight.
Great. Now, don't forget you're on 98.9 Northwest FM. It's Community Heart Dating Show tonight, and we want to get your questions. We already had Grace here saying it's a great topic, guys. Grace, now we need you to go one step further than just saying it's a great topic. Grace, we need your question. We need your comment. You've got to get yourself out there. Now, you may need a coach to do that, but we've got a coach here. So let's get the questions going. Milton, he's late for a date. That'd probably be the coach would say, don't be late for a date. That'd be a tip, I'd say. No brainer that one, I think, Milton. Do you think, Julio?
Yes, I agree. You can't be
Are
late
you
for a
on
date.
time, Julio?
I'm one of those people that likes being on time. Yes, so that's the way I
okay.
work.
That's all right. Now, Kelly, are you on time? You reckon that's part of your repertoire?
Yeah, I would say so. I would hope so. But and if I'm not, I would say that then I would contact the person and say I'm late because of, and I will be here in 5 minutes.
Right, Kel, I've got a question for you. If a guy rolls up late for your date, not that you're out there looking, I know that, but say you went on a date and someone rolled up late, what would that say to you?
I think it depends on the context. I think it depends on what, their engagement and connection during the date and beforehand and afterwards as well. So I think it's the whole body of that date, not just if they're late or not. And jeepers, I mean, if they're an hour late, then I wouldn't have even been waiting that long. But I think it's from the start to the end. Yeah.
Okay, you're going for content, which is great. Now, Julio, we've got Sarah's got a question here.
Yes,
why don't you read that out, Kelly?
What do you do if their standards you are not willing to compromise on, like i.e. religion or height, What do you do? So if you have your list,
Sarah's
and
got
you
a
have
list.
your standard,
Obviously, Sarah's got
Sarah has a list.
she's got a list. Sarah's not going to get rid of her list.
No.
So I think it's important to differentiate between the list and your values. So when we talk about standards, it's important to look at your values. So values, you don't compromise on your values. Your values are the most important thing. So your values we can call your standards. Things like
But hang
height.
on, Robyn.
Yes.
She's got height in there. Height's
I
not a value.
know, I'm going on to that now. So it's differentiating. So we've got to pull it apart and look at what is a value and what is a detail, which is height.
Hang on, you're confusing me now. Is a detail part of the list or a detail's outside the list?
No, it's yeah. Is it the blue jeans thing? So some days you want blue jeans, some days you want black jeans. It just depends what you want for each day.
The detail goes off the list. So the detail is part of the list, so you get rid of the detail.
Okay, so you think that she shouldn't be worried about height?
Yes. Well, it depends. It depends on how worried she's about height. So I think it's. I'm going to be careful here. How high is Sarah? I think it's important. I think it's important that you're at least the same height. It's nicer if the man's. It's nicer if the man's a bit taller.
It sounds like to me, Robyn, you're putting things back on the list.
I know, putting things on the list. We do have a raises.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know sure about point number one, mate. It's getting a bit wobbly, point number one. I think we better try and work out what point number two is.
Point number two is working out your values, being very clear on your values.
Okay, being clear
on
on
values.
those.
Compromise.
Okay, we've just found out Sarah's height, and looks like she's not going to go for anyone under 5 foot. What's the height there, Julio? 5.8, is it?
What
We
is
better
it?
put it up there, Sarah. She's
There you go.
5'8". So anyone under 5'8", no hope.
Yep, that's it.
It's certainly.
That's okay.
I think she's a list. I think Sarah is a list girl. I don't think she's going to worry.
Yes.
She's not into our point number one at all.
No, I think we're moving on to the.
So Robyn, when we getting rid of that list, thinking about the values, and I had a friend also sort of ask me, do we accept them as they are and just put up with that, or do we embrace it and look at those coaching avenues not only for ourselves but for them and the relationship as a whole? Or is that something that we need to be accepting them for who they are?
Okay, so I think everyone wants to be accepted. Everyone wants to be accepted and everyone wants to be heard. So part of having a good relationship and having a good connection is to accept someone for who they are.
Okay, so we're back on the height issue, are we, or this is something talking about something else?
Yeah.
No, this is conditions. This is about your conditions.
Okay.
So it's getting rid of conditions.
Okay.
So
So should we say get rid of the list and conditions, or
yes,
yes,
you can put conditions with the list.
Okay, I think Sarah's going to find this show pretty challenging tonight. Sorry, Sarah, but what about point number two? What is our second tip? Because first one is a bit wobbly.
The second tip is being clear on your values.
Yeah.
Oh, being clear on the values. All right.
On your own values. So whether that's whether it's respect, generosity, except for height, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Or hair colour, right? Yeah. So values is what are your values in your life? So it's
Kelly, do you know what your values are just off the top of your head? What sort of values have you got?
So what would
definitely. I would say, Robyn. Yeah, I was going to say, I think it depends on the environment as well. Like your work values may be more different than your personal values. Your personal values, like for me, it's someone who is compassionate and kind and understanding and open-minded, but also generous and authentic and integral. Whereas someone else's, they may have those different values, where it may be someone who is laid back rather than integral or proactive. Would that be right, Robyn?
Yes, 100%. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robyn, are there guys out there with those sort of values, are there?
Absolutely, Mark. Absolutely. It just takes longer to work them out.
Sounds like you're sort of repackaging some blokes to fit some types out there, eh? Is that the coach's job?
No, I stretch their height a bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
You say, look, buddy, you better wear high shoes that day.
That's it.
Okay, don't forget, you can make comments and questions. We're really wanting to make tonight very interactive. We've loved hearing from Sarah. Grace, we're still waiting for you. James Nolis, I think you should make a comment too. Really keen to get some more comments and questions of this great coach, Robyn, tonight. She's just a perfect match. She knows how to match. She's found the secret formula. And we're going to go for point number 3 in a secret formula, 5 great points of finding your life partner tonight. Point number 3.
Point number 3 is focus on how you want to feel when you're in this relationship or in this connection. So it's actually it's a little bit like manifesting. I don't always say this word here, but it's manifesting it. So it's focusing on, if you want to feel excited, if you want to feel safe, if you want to feel treasured, valued, and it's focusing on how you want to feel every day. And you start to feel it, and it helps you attract that into your life. So it's attracting the right person to you.
Okay, that's a bit deeper, that one, Julio. Have you got that one? Do you understand that one?
I do.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
My question, Robyn, 3A, I'd say to be able to attract those quality, men and women, what would you say are the 5 top characteristics that really drive that? If I'm looking for a man, or if a man's looking for a woman, for example, what would you say helps to identify, because it's getting those quality rather than the quantity, like you were saying earlier, all the stats and the numbers, and particularly online at the moment, we might be meeting 20 men, but there's how do we get that one quality to get to those, attract that substance and that essence and that quality?
You be that yourself. So
it's a teaching lesson to these 2 men here too, Robyn.
Robyn, just tell us from your own personal experience, what were you doing to attract your guy? Like, tell us a bit of your own story.
Yeah.
What was going on to get this feeling one right?
Okay, so I made a decision. That I'd had enough, and I wanted to be respected. I wanted to be a priority. I wanted to feel good. I wanted to come from my higher place. I wanted my partner to come from his higher place. So we have a best interests at heart for each other. That was my main focus. That's how I did it.
On that focus thing, do you find that at some point in time you find people that you think you need to start working on yourself and your life first before actually getting involved with someone else?
Absolutely. It's the most important thing. So,
and how do you manage that? How do you manage that approach on an individual?
Yes. So you can use that with these tips. So it's focusing on how you want to feel. That's the first step of healing yourself.
Okay.
Right, and it's also letting go of conditions, and it's letting go of conditions and expectations that you have on yourself.
Right.
So when we're not ready for a relationship, or we still have a lot of hurt, or we're still hanging on to an ex, we need to cleanse ourselves. We need to let go of all those old emotions, and have a clean slate, so that we're not looking at new people with those old eyes and the old mindset.
Yeah. Okay, so you want them to look at the individual, not their old partner, or not their old...
That's right. Right.
So when these people come and see you, Robyn,
yes.
do you not only assess Romeo, but Juliet? You assess both and see whether they're actually ready for a relationship? Is that what you're Is that part of your process?
Yes, that's part of a lot of it is the coaching in the beginning, and it is helping people let go of the past, and then we move forward, and it empowers you. It empowers when you let go of the past and you forgive the past. You work on yourself. It empowers you then to have a better connection the next time. Rather
Do you think
than
you got a handle? You think you got a handle on this now, Julio? The feeling one. You looked a bit confused before.
The feeling of so that's one. I'm still confused with the feeling one. So.
Well, how do you want to feel, Julio?
So you're talking to an engineer. We don't really feel much at all.
And that's why I'm curious, coming back to those 5K, you know, what is a man, Julio, Mark, what attracts you to a woman? Like, what are the 5 things that you, is it, now, I'm not going to sound vague or anything here, but is it still that physical attraction? Is it different generational? Is it that they like a woman still who is a great cook and who is beautiful and gorgeous? If it's an engineer like yourself, Julia, because you're like, or you're non-emotive, or I'm not sure. What do you think it is? Or what draws a man, and vice versa?
That's a great question, Kelly. I'm sure our listeners might have some, I'm sure Milton, who just made a comment there, or others listening, might understand what attracts you to the opposite sex, a female or a male. Obviously, communication, I think, is a key one, Kelly. I think communication is big because connection, Robyn, must be pretty important in a relationship.
Absolutely. It's the most important thing. And I think especially with men, all men and women, but most men will tell me they like to feel appreciated by a woman.
Wow.
And that's when they feel they want to do more for her. They feel more comfortable. It excites them to feel appreciated. And
how do they feel appreciated? How do they feel that? How do you feel appreciated, Julio, Mark? I'm curious.
For me, it's pretty much. I like the communication, like the respectful communication you get with the opposite sex, and just even the difference in the banter, but in a friendly, sort of sharing way. Yes. I believe that to me that actually makes a lot of sense. I actually feel I quite like that. So it's really when a woman says to you, "I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you that you did this." That makes you feel good. That's right. Yeah.
As a man.
Yep. Yeah, it makes you feel like sharing
that intimacy, isn't it? Emotional intimacy is really important. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
Well, what are the women looking for, Robyn? Would be some of the things they're looking for? Good. Let's just go through these tips again. We have got apart from tall men. That's going to rule some blokes out. Get rid of the list.
Yeah,
get rid of the list. That's first one. Next one is what's the next one? Think about your values.
Values.
Yeah. And what's the third one? Focus on how you're going to feel. That's an interesting one. That's a great one. And we've been getting on the 3A, which the 3A is about what men are looking for, and 3B is what women are looking for. And what are women looking for, you reckon, there, Robyn?
So women like a man who can lead. Women like a man who's capable and is decisive.
Mm-hmm.
So he can make the decisions, he can make the suggestions, he can organise and plan. Women love a man with a plan. They love it. So you reckon blokes like to feel appreciated and women like to be led? Yes, absolutely.
Do you think all women want to be led, Kelly? Or because you're a bit of a leader, I'll tell you what, I think you'd be doing a bit of the leading.
I do, but I'm curious to know how to attract those leaders, because I totally agree with you, Robyn. I'm attracted to those who are proactive, initiate, and authentic. But where they are, I'm not sure.
But you also have to let them do that. That's the first step as a woman, is you have to let them do that, which is it's difficult for a lot of women.
And how do you do it, Robyn? How do you allow your man to lead?
I just sit down and shut up. I start by appreciating. I appreciate.
Okay,
And I let him.
You let him. Okay.
So how can a woman tell then, Robyn, if a man is interested? So if you take that step back and you let
Yes.
them, is it allowing them to lead? Is it, on general, how does a woman now tell if a man is interested?
He'll let her know. A man will always let a woman know if he's interested in her. A woman doesn't necessarily always let a man know, but a man will always let a woman know he's interested in her.
Unpack that a little bit more, Robyn.
Open a can of words there.
Oh, okay. You better unpack that a little bit more. You reckon blokes are more straight? Blokes are more straighter than women. Is that what you're saying?
They're more straight up. They'll tell you. A man is, he lets you know that he likes you. Most men, not, I'm being general.
Yeah, on that
know.
on that note, maybe it's just me, but maybe because I'm really dumb in reading people's actual what they're trying to say subliminally. So it was like female wise, communication wise, because I'm so used to man talk, which is basically you just get told outright what's going on. How do you read that from a female?
If she likes you.
If she likes you, or there's a chance for the relationship to grow.
Yes. So it's probably a little bit more difficult than if a man lets a woman know. But you'll know if she appreciates you. So if she's telling you that she likes something that you've done, or if she's giving you compliments, if she's laughing, if she's flirting, obviously. But it's a lot of it is if she's appreciating you in compliments or wants to help you do something.
Okay, so you're saying the bloke's job is a lot harder, Robyn, than the female job, yeah? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Well, hey, we've got another comment from Dell. What's Dell got to say here? When have you always had to be the leader? How do you allow someone to lead? So, all right.
This is a great question, and I'm asked this nearly every day. So, I think as women, especially if a woman, if she has a good career and she's a leader in her career, or if she's a mother, right? Because as a mother, you have to organise everything all day, so you're leading a lot in your head. So when you're leading as a woman, you're in your masculine energy because you're thinking all the time. I have to do this. I have to fix this. I have to lead this. I have to push this here. And it's a woman thinking. And when a woman is thinking, she's in her masculine energy. So the key is to switch into your heart space, which is your feminine energy. And it's just a switch. It's really easy once you learn to do it. And you can do it all day. You can go from your head to your heart, from your head to your heart. When you're in your heart, that's when you appreciate, and that's when you sit back and you allow the man to look after you. And the way you do that is to start by appreciating him. You appreciate him for doing anything. It can be making the coffee. Thank you for making the coffee really quickly because it means I won't be late for work. I really appreciate it. You say those words. It's good for the man to hear, but it also helps you as a woman sit in your heart space.
What would Kelly be saying to us if she says you're going to appreciate? Because maybe we need to give Kelly a bit of training on how we're going to appreciate.
And I think that's a great question, what Dal has put down. And, I was going to say, we talk about a lot of this in work as well, because if you're a woman leader, we had to, often you're thinking with your head, got to get this done. And you're used to having to be that strong leader. And you're taught now not to think or show that emotion from that heart space, and particularly online. And so how do you show that heart space in the online world now?
Well, I think it's learning to embrace your heart space and being proud of your heart space and knowing how powerful you are as a woman coming from your heart space. It's very powerful. Whereas as society, I think we've been told that it's a weakness for many generations, right? So women have become quite masculine in their energy because they won't allow that feminine energy to come out. But the opposite is the truth. Power is in heart. Power is in emotions. Power is in connections. That's power, and that's the feminine.
So what is that? Is that showing your vulnerability? Is that what it is, Robyn? Is it showing, when you're saying that heartfelt space of them showing initiation, saying, I'll pick you up for this date, or I'll plan this, or I'll flowers, or that romantic connection? Is it all of the above?
What do you mean?
I guess for a woman, sometimes we don't know quite what that heart space is now.
Okay, so the heart space is coming from a place of gratitude. So it's you becoming living through your heart space, which is through gratitude and appreciation. That's how you get into your heart space, and that's how you then communicate your emotions. So it's your emotions, and men are attracted to a woman's emotions. They might not tell you, Mark might not tell you that, but
We're getting some good insights here, Robyn. It's fantastic. Julio, I just want to tell you, buddy, I love you, and I think you're an amazing man, Amazing man.
Are we feeling good?
I'm feeling good about Julio. I'm very grateful for Julio. He's just an incredible man.
That's so interesting. Do you think that generations have changed, Robyn, in terms of sometimes women now had to be strong and independent and feminist, but the man still wants to be shown as that, I'm not using the correct wording. Yeah, he still wants to be that man, doesn't he?
Absolutely. He'll always want to be that man. And unfortunately... Yeah?
No, keep going, Robyn.
Okay. Unfortunately, because women have become more the leaders or more alpha, I'm being very general, sometimes men now, especially in the younger generation, are confused about whether they can lead, whether they're allowed to lead. So they're worried about disrespecting you. They've got this, they're not 100% sure of how much they can lead.
I think we're going to have a session for the blokes. We've got such a tough job out there. Please, we need some more comments. We need some core comments. So you're on Community Heart. It's the dating show with Julio, Mark and Kelly with special guest Robyn. And we're just talking about dating. We've got 3 great tips. So we're going to go to tip number 4. But we really do need some more comments and want to hear your comments about what's going on the show. And you got anything to say? We're still waiting to hear from Grace, by the way. Too. So, Robyn, what's your tip number 4?
Tip number 4. What was my tip number 3?
All right, we'll quickly go through them again, Julio. Tip number 1.
Okay. Number 1.
Get rid of the list.
Not this list.
Think about your values.
Yes.
And focus on how you're going to feel. I like that one.
Yes.
And one, women like men who can lead, and men want to be appreciated.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So number 4 is I think and it's probably one of the most important, but 4 is self-care. So self-care. Yeah, so number 3 is working out how you want to feel. And number 4 is then treating yourself like that. So it's treating yourself how you want a man or a woman to treat you. So
I think you're going to have to give us an example of that. Give us an example of that on yourself again.
Okay. So self-care. Self-care is working out your boundaries. Self-care is eating good food, looking after your health. Self-care is grooming. Self-care is having a massage. Self-care is organising your finances. Self-care, so it's looking after yourself. And I've put myself to the next tip now, which is your boundaries, because your boundaries are also really important. So it's working out your boundaries.
Is that tip number 5, is it?
That's tip number 5, yep.
Okay, so we got...
It's working out your boundaries.
All right, the boundaries, all right. We might be going for tip number 6 by the sound of things. But so I just want to put up number 5 again, mate. What's that again?
Number 5 and number 4.
Number
5. 4. Yeah, 4.
Self-care.
Looking after yourself. I think that's meant to me.
Yep.
Yes.
Looking after yourself. Kelly,
Loving
just want to
yourself.
give us some. What? How's that feel for you? That one, tip 4.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's so important, but I think maybe it's been because previous generations, you know, maybe they haven't. Maybe men and women haven't. So many men have worked long hours, or many women have had many children, have cared after their home so long, and you know, and so now it's important so that they then also have the time together and for themselves as well, and to know what they want to achieve. So yeah, I think it's really, really important, and I think it's whether when someone's single, in a committed relationship, in a long-term relationship, it's always important to have that care for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, our good mate Sarah, who has been a bit of a star on the show, she says,
Yes.
Mark, you're right. Number 1 would be a struggle for me. Okay, all right. Not if they're 6 foot, you'd be fine with that. 6 foot, you'd be going, how do I establish a connection to the extent of traction in an online space? So
Yes.
Sarah's out there. She says she's out there. She's looking for a tall man. So if you're tall,
Yes.
what else she wants? She wants to, let's go back to that, Julio. What she wants? She wants a connection.
Line space.
And attraction.
Online.
Connection and attraction online. What would you be saying to Sarah tonight, Robyn?
Yes, I would say to get into your heart space and talk about what makes you feel good. So when you're, it's the language she uses. It's the communication between her and people online. So she talks about what makes her feel good. Like, I love being in the ocean. I love being in nature. It makes my heart feel good. I love connecting with people who are really close to me. I get excited when I really help someone. I love inspiring people.
Robyn, I think the problem with Sarah, though, is that
Yes.
I think she's struggling to find that person to actually offload her heart to, because she's got a long list of conditions. Long list of conditions, and she's finding it hard to find that match online to meet those conditions before she can offload her heart.
That's right.
That's right. That's why it's step number 1. Tip number 1.
We better go back to step number 1. We better put that back up for Sarah. What's step number 1, Julio?
That's
Again?
right.
Get rid of that list.
Maybe I need to edit number 1 and put not for Sarah.
Yeah.
Except Sarah.
Except Sarah.
So I think that's a problem. All right. She's got to get herself out there and just give that heart to the first person she meets online. Is that what you reckon, Robyn?
It's not giving a heart to the first person she meets online.
No.
It's talking from a heart space.
Yes.
So it's when you're meeting, especially for a woman, when you're meeting men online or anywhere, it's important to look at them like a friend first, because when you can say to yourself, so it's getting rid of outcomes, it's getting rid of
I like that one. Can we make that tip number 6, getting rid of outcomes?
You got to get rid of outcomes and expectations. So
I like that one.
when we focus on the outcome, our mind is in the future. And when our mind is in the future, we can't be present. When we focus on what could happen because of the past, if we're focusing on the past, we're also not present. So it's getting rid of all outcomes and trusting that everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be, and focusing on a connection, focusing on a friendship first.
Gary, I don't know about you, but I think that's one of the best tips. They've all been great, but I just like that one. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say, Robyn, I think the point about having that connection is really important. But when the thing that I hear a lot of is where they see you have a connection, but it's just as a friend, how then that can generate into something more than a friendship. Or when, like you said earlier, when people have that choice and so that they're indecisive. So how does a man or a woman then up their game, lift that standard so that they have that friendship, they have that connection, they're operating from that heart space rather than that head space, then how do they go to that next point?
Tell them. Tell them.
I reckon you've done some great coaching here tonight, Robyn.
Tell
Very
them that
good
you're
coaching.
attracted. Tell them, I find really attractive, like flirt.
Is that the theme? So you're asking Kelly to be a bit more vulnerable.
Everyone should be vulnerable.
Oh,
Everyone.
Okay. Is that point number 7?
You, Mark.
Is that point number 7?
Let's go back to point 5 first. What's point 5? Point 5 was.
Well, I remember the outcomes one. That was point 6. Boundaries was point 5.
Boundaries.
Point 5.
Boundaries.
Outcomes is point 6. And what was that last one we just talked about?
6 is letting go of outcomes.
And what was 7? 7 was to be vulnerable.
Be vulnerable.
That's 7. I think we're going to get the top 10 tonight. We've got enough time. We've got 5 minutes. I think we get 10 tips. I mean, this is remarkable. We could write a book after tonight. So Julio, better put up 5. What's 5?
Boundaries.
Boundaries is 5. So set your boundaries.
Working out your boundaries. Yep. Sitting in your boundaries.
And number 6.
Okay.
Yep.
6 is what's 6? That's
outcomes.
about letting go of outcomes and
expectations.
Expectations and outcomes. And then number 7 is to be vulnerable.
Yes. And open.
Okay, we need a few more people to be vulnerable out there because they're not being vulnerable. Sarah's been very vulnerable and she's had a lot of good coaching tonight. This is free coaching for you out there. If you're single and you're looking for your life partner, we're giving you a great opportunity tonight. You've got the world's #1 coach and her new offsider, Kelly, here to give you all the advice you want. So please.
Would you say, Sarah, Robyn, that do you have different tips per se for different generations? Or have you noticed that, like obviously someone in their 20s has very, like you're saying, different expectations or boundaries than someone who's maybe in their 60s or 50s. I hosted an event a few weeks ago and I had 60 people turn up from all different age categories and I was really, really surprised. But that question kept coming up about how do we look at, different age groups and do we need to have different expectations as well?
This is a long answer. So I know. I think so each generation is different. So a younger generation will want different outcomes. So they want to be married, they want to have a family. An older generation have already had a family, so they're looking for a different type of connection. But fundamentally, it's exactly the same for every age group, to let go of expectations and outcomes and focus on connection, because we all want the same thing. We all want to be loved unconditionally. We all want to be accepted. So it doesn't matter what age you are.
Okay, that's tip number 8. Focus on connection.
Yes.
Number 8.
On connecting.
Number 8.
Focus on connection. Very good, Mark.
I like that one, Robyn. I like that one. Focus on connection. I'm going to write your book for you.
I know, it's awesome.
You can tell he's a list man. He's a list man. That's his values.
We're going to start thinking. We've got to get the top 10.
Now, back to this one, Mark. Here you go.
Okay, we've got 2 more. We've got to get 2 more, Robyn. So start thinking about 2 more.
Okay. All right, where was I? Oh, yes. So I always, when I talk to people, I don't know, mid-40s plus, I always say, we have more fears because we have more experience. So we have more things that stop us from connecting. So it's letting go of all your fears. There you go. There's
That's number 9. That's number 9. Let go of all your fears.
Let go of all your fears.
List. Even though we're not into lists.
Let go of your fears. So when you're in your 20s, right, all you focus on if you want to have sex with that person. It's attraction, right? Yeah. You don't think about anything else in your 20s. That's why you fall in love very easily, very quickly. Whereas in your 40s, we have lists, right? We have experiences, we have fears, we have things that have gone wrong. We have a lot of things we have to think about before we connect with someone. So I'm always encouraging people 40s plus to try and be how you were in your 20s, to let go of all your fears, all your expectations, and have fun, because it's about having fun, because connection is fun. That's your other one. Have fun. Keep it
fun.
light.
That's number 10. That's number 10, Julio. Julio, what do you like at having fun, mate? I mean, you're an engineer.
keep it light.
Can engineers have fun?
Yeah, pull apart stuff.
And then put it back together.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. Well, I tell you what, the 50 minutes has gone very quickly, Robyn, and unfortunately the show's coming to an end. But we just got to quickly go through these top 10. Let's quickly go through them again, Julio.
Okay, number 1, give her a list. Not this list, except for Sarah. Number 2, think about your values.
Beautiful.
Number 3, focus on how you are going to feel, which means for a woman, man who can lead, and for a man who want to be appreciated. Number 4, self-care, looking after yourself. Number 5, boundaries. That's a good one as well. Number 6, letting go of outcomes.
Yeah, very important.
Number 7, focus on connections.
Connections.
Number 9, let go of all your fears. 10,
have fun. What a list you've come up with, Robyn. What do you think about that list?
That was awesome. That was a group list. That wasn't just me.
Exactly.
Well, look, we're going to wind up the show now, but as we wind up the show, I just want to get a comment from everyone. We'll end up with you, Robyn. We might start with Kelly, just a bit of a summary of what you think about it's a dating show, obviously, for 98.9 Northwest FM, Community Heart Radio. And, Kel, just sum up what you're thinking, what you got out of tonight in terms of dating. We've got people like Sarah out there really wanting to find a tall guy. What's your advice? What's your final comment?
I think my biggest takeaway would be to operate from my heart and not so much my mind, and in that feminine space. So I'm going to be doing a little learning there, Robyn.
Awesome.
Oh, no, Kelly, you know what you've done? I think you put number 11 in there. You put point 11. Operate from your heart. I think that
appreciation.
Yes.
Yeah. Operate from your heart.
Appreciate.
I like that one. Mm-hmm. Now, Julio, what's your little tip for the guys out there?
For the guys out, or for me, is basically that even us engineers have got hope in relationships, and just you've got to just calm down and be more accepting about others, and probably same thing, be more open to have good discussions and good communication.
Very good. Very good. Fantastic. Now, Robyn, can you bring it home for us? So what's your sort of summary tonight for everyone listening? I mean, as you say, during the pandemic, people want to connect. They want to have a relationship. They don't want to be by themselves. What's your advice you could give the people out there that desperately want to connect tonight?
I think the best advice through our discussion tonight is letting go of all conditions and outcomes and being vulnerable and open and reaching out to people. It's very empowering to be vulnerable. It feels anxious. It feels scary at the start, but once you do it, it becomes really easy, and that's how you connect, because everyone wants to connect. Everyone, when you show vulnerability, then the person you're speaking to or talking to feels more comfortable to be vulnerable with you, and that's when you connect really well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for coming tonight, Robyn. And Kelly's been great seeing you again. Julio, I'm glad there's a bit of hope for an engineer.
Yeah.
I can help you, Julio. Really easy.
Yes. And Robyn, great having you here. Anyone needs a coach, Google Robyn. I'm sure you can find her on the internet. Google her. She's going to be a great coach. She's found her dream guy. She's got the formula. She knows how to have success. She's in high demand, so no doubt about it. So good on you, hey?
Thanks, Mark.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks,
we're going to close the show down now. And thanks, Milton, for your comment there, buddy. And thanks, everyone, for listening.
Thank you.